Welcome everybody. Give you an opportunity to get a quick update on things as the summer has continued to sort of evolve with our team, and as we flow into July and recruiting starts to take shape, usually we really focus on a lot of team stuff. So having the opportunity to do a couple workouts a week as a group for the first time is a little refreshing. You get a little bit more anxious. You wish you had a little bit more time with them, because you get your juices flowing a little bit once you start to see the possibilities or whatnot of all these different guys. But I've been really proud of the group all the way since getting here. Very impressive group workers, and adding our new guys, the three young guys over the last 3 weeks, they have fit in seamlessly as people, and just really encouraged by their approach. So I'll probably just open it up to you guys a little bit here and answer as much as I can, get you guys as much information as you need to, because probably within about 3 weeks these guys will depart, and we'll break for a quick break before fall semester starts.
You mentioned the new guys integrating seamlessly as people. As players, what's the biggest challenge for a freshman coming into the first summer of being a college player?
Well, I think every freshman has an adjustment with the pace and the speed and the size of everything that's going around. Most of the time, their biggest adjustment is young players learning how to defend in college against older, bigger, stronger, faster guys. They're no longer, so to speak, the elite talents that they were in high school, where physically they can just dominate people. That's the norm. These guys haven't really missed a beat. They're a mature group, smart, where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. In 3 weeks' time, they've all made significant progress on their bodies and their conditioning. And just watching them move yesterday with the other guys and watching them sort of get into the flow, I feel all of them belong here. I feel all of them have a real chance to be successful with us. So, but the learning curve is big. The one that's, I guess a unique thing for them is usually freshmen are coming into a situation where there are seniors and juniors and sophomores that have been there and done that, and they're not learning. And they're the only guys that stand out in terms of making more mistakes. In this case, everyone's sort of at ground zero, so they have a little advantage in that regard.
Juwan talked about the need for veteran leadership. I think Robert said, it's like having a coach on the floor or whatever. How important is it that you get that from this group?
Well, it's really important. I think that the upperclassmen have established that they have a good way about them in terms of their communication, leading by example. But we need a group that have a loud voice. And Rob's a guy that's going to have to step out of his comfort zone a little bit. He's done a better job this summer than he did in the early spring. He's really worked hard and shown people how it's done, but he's talking more. Colin's a huge boost. He and Juwan both have been fantastic in every regard of what we're doing in terms of them communicating, talking, and you got to have a team that can communicate with one another, and there's got to be a sounding board, and I think those older guys know that.
What is the latest with Colin? What is Colin able to do? Where is he at just in terms of feedback?
Colin on Monday or Sunday night, his last checkup was actually cleared for contact. So as we approach sort of these team workouts, we'll be very smart with him. There's no real reason to speed him up, but I think confidence-wise, mentally, physically, he feels as good as he's felt in a long time. We'll continue to take him slow, but he's ahead of schedule just in terms of where he's supposed to be, doing what he's going to do, and the way that he's handled things this off-season. He's given himself a chance to kick off, October, November, full go.
When you're putting your stamp on the program, how key is it that you have those upperclassmen setting that tone and everybody's getting in lockstep behind them?
Yeah, I think it's very important that we're very driven right now to put a stamp on things, to get an identity started. And I think from small groups to individual sessions, they got a feel for that. They understand sort of what we do. Now from a team perspective, we're sort of reteaching everything. You're reteaching the way you practice. You're reteaching the way you communicate in practice. Everything's new. So you have to take some time with that. But those guys who have been there, they have to pick it up quicker, and then they have to help teach the other guys who aren't getting there as fast. But the identity is going to start and stop with the guys that pick things up the fastest and execute what we're asking them to execute. The purpose of the summer, in particular these next 3 weeks, is going to be to put in place a foundation of how we practice, what we do in practice, and starting to build a foundation on offense and defense. So, making sure those guys, especially the upper class guys, the seniors who've been there, they're out in front. And not that anyone can't catch them, but they're out in front.
Archie, the ability to be in sync with Cliff in terms of what he's doing, strength conditioning, and what he practice, how close do you guys have to work so that if you go hard, say, one day in practice, then maybe he adjusts what he does and vice versa?
Yeah, that relationship is probably more important than most realize. Cliff and I obviously get a game plan in each phase of the year. The calendar year requires different things. This is a big time for him. He's had a great off season with the guys. And he's also had a great way about him of getting great results through his way of doing it. But his communication on a weekly basis, his communication on guys mentally, physically, how do they feel, really dictates how I operate with them sometimes. And as the course of the season goes, as we're in the fall and you start to get closer to practices, that's when you really got to be smart with guys. And Tim Garl, Tim, Cliff, and myself, that's sort of a three-headed monster that operates very, very closely.
Coach, you've mentioned just how important this offseason is for Deron Davis. Just at this point, how would you evaluate the progress that he's made in that program?
Excellent progress. He's done a great job in the classroom. He's done a great job in terms of when we first started, we have to get a couple things done before we can start talking about basketball. And that was, conditioning in his body. And he's done a fantastic job there. He's lost close to 20 pounds. He's moving and jumping as good as he ever has. He has a great confidence about him. I think he feels good about himself. He still has another gear I think he can reach, which is good as he approaches these next 3 weeks and then he goes home. But he's right where he should be in terms of what we've asked him to do. And I think he's gained confidence because he's worked very hard.
Coach, where are you with non-conference schedule? Is it almost done? And how do you feel about it?
It's been amongst everything, scheduling is obviously very difficult. And inheriting sort of a blank slate and getting a late start at it's taken some time for us to build it with some of the things that we need to have happen here in terms of games played in Assembly Hall and whatnot. But we're coming down the home stretch here. Feel like we can get some things buttoned up within the next couple weeks. When you look at the non-conference schedule and some of the things that are out there, whether it's Seton Hall on the road or Duke at home, Louisville's already out there on the road, and then Notre Dame neutral, 2 Big Ten games coming in the first weekend of December. When you look at the early stretch, we're really going to be taxed. About a 3 or 4 week period, not only going to be jamming games away, but we're not going to be at home as well. So it's going to be very, very taxing in terms of getting through, November and early December. It'll be as many games played at a high level for us in that period of time, maybe upwards of 5 to 6 to 7 games that are played against, either top 10, 15, or top 25 teams. So we're going to know where we are sort of heading into December, and then we got to jam some more in. And games being played at home and games being played on the road, it's been a tough balance. But I think when it's done, it'll be a tough non-conference schedule for us. Will it be glamorous? Probably not. I'm not sure we could have pulled glamorous off right now. But in future schedules, years down the line, it'll be easier to build around. And we're also, as most people know, as a league, contemplating 20 Big Ten games, which changes the whole format. So scheduling something that's evolving, it's changing by the day, and it could get tweaked a little bit more as the Big Ten kind of looks to maybe make a tweak in the conference slate, which you put 20 Big Ten games in there, a Big Ten Challenge, a Gavitt game, Indianapolis, I don't know how many more you can actually schedule, at that point. So, but it's been good. I think we'll get it done here in the next couple of weeks.
Will you handle the, coaches have talked about not knowing what they're going to do with that week off that suddenly everybody's got in March. Do you have maybe an idea for what you want to do with that open slate?
I think there's been a lot of things that have been thrown out, whether you play save one of your exhibition games and play somebody so you stay sharp, or save a non-conference game at that point in time. And, there's so much risk as you're heading into postseason play that I think that the Missouri Valley's done it here for a while, and I think the Wichita States of the world take that week off and they sharpen themselves up and improve and try to get as fresh and as healthy as you can. I don't think that's all bad either. So I think as we look at it for the first time here, that week in between or whatnot, we'll use it as a time to regroup, refresh, and hopefully get a little bit better with some time at a time of the year where you don't get much.
George, Archie,
when you first laid eyes on these kids when they first came in, just talk about what changes you've seen up till now.
Are you talking about the incoming freshmen or all of them?
All the kids that you saw.
It goes from great uncertainty to, in a very quick way, if you're doing things the right way, put them at ease. And then I think as they get a chance to work with you and they get a chance to watch what you've talked about, sort of lay out for them, I think there's great excitement. And with great excitement and opportunity for some of these guys, there's an added sort of bounce to their step. I think we have a group that feels good about themselves right now. I think we have a team that believes there's enough in the room that can do things regardless of what people say, because I think they like one another right now. They've had a very good off season, and typically very consistent off seasons should start you off in a good way. We have a lot of room to go though. I mean, and when you start talking about practice, I haven't probably ran a practice like yesterday since maybe my first year at Dayton. You know, when you're actually trying to teach them the name of a drill. You know, those type of things haven't been done in a while. So we're all at the beginning stages. But I think this is a group that can handle things. They're very coachable.
I know it's a bit of an anomaly, but what's your own thought about having those first 2 Big Ten games in early December?
It hurts you in terms of your ability to navigate a non-conference schedule. But in terms of knocking 2 Big Ten games out in 3 days, as long as everybody's doing it in the whole league, it's fair. And I think it'll add great excitement early in December to a couple really big environment games, one at home and one on the road, that'll really, you know, can get you kick-started into that month of December as you get ready to open it up in January. So, you know, when I was in the ACC, they'd always play a game in early December. And all the games you play in November and December, that one had a whole different feeling. So I think you have some games there early in December that have a whole new meaning regardless of who you played before or what you'll do right after. So there's a real importance early in December to be ready. Those 2 count. And I think it'll be a good statement for the league at that time too. I think it'll be showcase basketball for our conference in early December.
Last question.
Coach, can you talk, I know it's early, but can you talk about the state of leadership right now in the team? The players are just in here speaking about how they lacked that all last year.
Very good. I think it really starts with the older guys, not the single guys out, but I think if you look at a 5th-year kid like Colin, you look at Rob's experience level, you watch Jawan going into his 3rd year, not to single anybody out, but those 3 guys have been fantastic with their voices. You know, some guys lead by example. We have other guys sort of fighting their own fight to be better players and all that, but I think leading by example, talking, we have a good group in that way. And you know, just everything that we've done, I mean, those guys have responded and tried to do it. Now, we haven't gotten punched in the face or no one's gotten in the game or getting yanked out of the game yet, so that's how it has to go. But I feel like a couple of these guys feel this is their last go, and they're going to give it everything they have. And I think Colin, being really a guy who's really spearheaded and is good, he's like an assistant, he's like having a coach, regardless whether in your weight room or where you're at. I mean, I think he's contagious, and really, really fortunate to have his voice around right now.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys.